I came across this video on TikTok. It is by MRS.Goalchaser, and she just previously had her kitchen cabinets painted. However, they started peeling and chipping within a couple of days. So we're going to take a look at this video, see what possibly could have went wrong, and see what we could possibly do to fix it.
Okay, y'all, so we recently got our kitchen cabinets painted, and it's only been a week. And look at this. There are already small chips along the paint cabinets, and I am very, very upset because this was the one project that we did not do ourselves. When my husband, now all he's saying is, we should have did it ourselves. Because look at this. And you can only imagine how much worse it's going to get just over time. And it's only been a week, so I can only imagine what it's going to look like after 2 weeks. Look at the knobs. This is a mess. I am absolutely unhappy. Like, legit, a fork fell and it chipped the paint. Like, I don't think that it should be that easy to chip paint. So this is the paint that the painter left. It looks like it's PPG, and I don't know a lot about paint, but that's what was left.
So no, your painted kitchen cabinets should not chip and peel that easy. But one thing I can almost guarantee that it wasn't the paint that was failing. So if you look at the video, you can clearly see that the paint is chipping off really easy. And I can almost guarantee that they didn't prep the surface right. You always want to make sure that you clean your surface using a degreaser such as Dawn dish soap, crud cutter, spray 9. Then you want to go ahead and use a fine sanding sponge or a 220 grit sandpaper with an orbital sander just to rough up the surface a little bit so that the primer has something to adhere to. You want to get a mechanical bond, and you create that by sanding the surface, scuffing the surface, and creating like little divots, peaks and valleys for the primer to seep into and really bond to the surface. Now, depending on what kind of cabinets you have, depending on the type of wood, whether you have laminate cabinets, whether you have oak cabinets, that really is going to decide what primers would be best for your project. I'm going to make a separate video just about that, but you can use an urethane modified primer, you can use an oil-based primer, where oil-based primer is my go-to primer because it's a 99% guaranteed that you're not going to have any adhesion failure. However, it's a little bit messier, it's a little bit harder to work with. If you can get away with just using a urethane modified primer, then I would say go ahead and do that. Again, I'm going to make a separate video just for that. Now, how do you fix something like that? It really depends how bad it is. If it's peeling everywhere, if it's chipping and peeling everywhere, I'm going to say, unfortunately, you're going to have to start over. I would sand everything down to the wood again, use paint stripper, then start over and do it the right way. Or if it's just those few areas where it's chipping and peeling and everything else seems to be fine, then just go ahead and use a 220 grit sandpaper to sand those areas. You want to make sure that you get rid of all the flaking and peeling spots, sand it down to the wood, clean it with a degreaser. Then you're going to go ahead and spot prime those areas. I like to use aerosol cans. Go ahead and spray those areas. Let that dry for a couple of hours. Personally, I let it dry overnight. Then go ahead and paint it, whether you want to use your paint brush or you want to use your roller, or if you want to use your sprayer, whatever you feel most comfortable with, whatever you actually painted those cabinets with. That's what I would suggest, doing the same thing, just so that it blends in and that you don't have texture difference.